Okay, very good morning, students. So, this is the next video. I think it's your third part of this chapter, and here we are going to discuss about the president. This is the topic of working of institutions. So, president, as the head of the state, is the first citizen of the country, highest political executive. But as India is a parliamentary democracy, the head of the state has only nominal powers. So the president of India is not as powerful as the president of USA. So there is a very elaborate and complex system set up by the constitution for the election of a president. The president is elected by an electoral college that which consists of number one, we can say, elected members of both houses of parliament called the MPs of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and second, all the elected members of legislative assemblies of the state, which includes the national assemblies of the union territories, MLAs. And third, we can say the vote of MPs and MLAs have different values depending on how many people they represent. Their votes are counted through a complicated system called single transferable vote system. What does it call? Single transferable vote system. This system makes the president represent the entire nation, yet he is not directly elected. Okay, so two three points you have to remember. And then if we talk about the power of the functions of president, so here students, mainly there is nothing that the president cannot do. All governmental activities take place in the name of the president. All laws and major policy decisions of government are issued in this name. All major appointments are made in the name of the president. Okay, so which include the chief justice of India, judge of Supreme Court, high courts of the states, governors of the state, election commissioners, ambassadors to the other countries, etc. So all international treaties and agreements are made in the name of the president. Okay, his signature is very important. The president is the supreme commander of the defense force of India also. Clear, student? So these some points which you have to keep it in your mind, which is very important. And second is executive powers. Okay, so president being the head of the union executive, all legislative administrative decisions are taken in his name. Although the president is a figurehead and not the real head of the administration, and president appoints a prime minister from the party which has been able to secure a majority of seats in the parliament. Clear? And on the advice and recommendation of the prime minister, president appoints other ministers in the council of minister. So this is a very very important part of uh, president's part is very, you know, powerful, but it is not be seen in the country. So but the president exercise all these powers only on the advice of council of ministers. And president can ask the council of ministers to reconsider its advice, but if the same advice is given again, he is bound to act according to it. Clear? Next, if we talk about the legislative power, um, uh, so only the president has the powers to summon and dissolve the parliament, that is the Lok Sabha. Rajya Sabha is the permanent body and is not subject to dissolution. President nominate 12 members from various fields like arts, science or social work to Rajya Sabha, and 2 members from Anglo-Indian community to the Lok Sabha. Second is regarding legislative power. President has the right to address both the houses of parliament at a joint meeting after each general election and at the beginning of the first session of the year. Clear? And president has the power to promulgate ordinance which have the same force and effect as any act of parliament. Okay, and it disapproved, it ceased to operate immediately also, means bills passed by the legislatures of the state may be reserved by governors of the state for president's consideration. Judicial power, if we talk about the judicial power, student, I'm telling you power of president, part wise, section wise. First I told you about executive power, legislative power. Now I'll tell you about the judicial power. President has the power to grant remissions or pardon to any punishment. He can do so only in cases where laws of the union have been violated, where the sentence or punishment is by court martial, and in cases of capital punishment, death sentences. So, in that case, he can pardon. Financial power, if we talk about the financial power, student, money cannot be granted by the government of India unless recommended by the president. Okay, and there is the contingency fund for the purpose of meeting unforeseen circumstances or expenditure. This is placed at the disposal of the president to enable him to make allowances from it. Okay, so the chairperson and members of finance commission are appointed by the president. Clear? And next, if we talk about the section military power, so the supreme command of the defense forces is vested in the president. As such, he is supreme commander of all the three forces. Okay, so declaration of war, conclusion of peace are also his powers, but these can be exercised upon the parliament's directions. Next is the section is diplomatic power. So the president not only appoints ambassadors of India to other countries but receives the ambassadors and representatives of other countries. He may represent India in international conference and events. Right? Emergency powers. Now next is emergency powers, student. The Constitution of India empowers the president to proclaim emergency under the following three circumstances. First is external aggression, war or armed rebellion, article number 352, and failure of constitutional machinery in a state, article number 356, and financial emergency, article number 360. So the on this articles I'll make another video, students. Okay, and then we'll talk about the judiciary. Okay, so here, student, judiciary a powerful and independent judiciary is essential for a democratic country. Indian judicial system is organized on the principle of a single unified judiciary. India has one Supreme Court for the entire nation, unlike USA, which has one for the center for the union and one for the state. The states have high courts and there are district courts and the courts at the local level. Okay, so according to the in district level you can see district courts, and in local level you can see local courts. So the Supreme Court control all other courts, and this is evident from what the article 141 declares. Law declared by the Supreme Court shall be binding on all courts within the territory of India. Right, so its decision are binding on all other courts. It can take up any disputes, like if here I'll tell you about the between citizens of the country, between citizens and the government, between two or more state government, and between governments at the union and state level. So it is the highest court of appeal in civil and criminal cases. It can hear appeals against the decisions of high courts. Independence of judiciary means that it is not under the control of legislature or executive. So the judges do not act on the direction of the government or according to the wishes of the party in power. The judges of the Supreme Court and high courts are appointed by the president, okay, on the advice of the prime minister and the consultation with the chief justice. So there are three members which are included here involved. One, the person who's selected, president is selecting the person, and then by advised, who gave the advice here, prime minister, and the consulted by the chief justice. Okay, so in the next video, student, we will discuss here about the we'll discuss here about the important role of Supreme Court. So we'll talk about the important rules. So till then, thank you so much, students.